Hello brothers and welcome back to another video. So today I want to talk about the future directions. I'm thinking of actually doing this one for each kind of race slash army. So today I want to talk about the Imperium. If people want me to do it a bit more, then maybe we'll do about the Necrons, then Eldar, then, you know, Tau, all that kind of stuff. But today, let's just keep it to my fandom where I know the most and, you know, what I like talking about, and that is the Imperium. So what is in the future for the Imperium now after the Vigilus campaign? So for those of you who are not up to date, this is a slight spoiler. Well, it is a spoiler, should I say. Vigilus ended with Calgar basically getting one of his hearts smashed. He's basically ended up in hospital. Abaddon retreated back because the Vengeful Spirit was about to blow up, so instead of allowing his ship to be destroyed, he went back and obviously saved his ship, and they basically got out of dodge, but I'm sure they're still circling that area at the moment. But it ended in a stalemate, basically. That is it. Nobody technically won. Everyone's just the same as they were at the beginning. So now, what is the situation in the Imperium? How are we going to do it? What is next for Guilliman? What is next for his armies? Well, it's not a crusade anymore. The Indominus Crusade is over. But what is next now? Where do they go from here? What is their next plan of action? Now, I personally don't think that Vigilus will be coming back into it anytime soon. I think GW will now focus on other areas of the galaxy. They've actually confirmed that there will be new campaigns happening, so that more or less means that the Imperium are going to be focusing themselves in other parts of the galaxy, and hopefully chaos will be there as well. I'm always going to say, I think the Imperial's best foe is chaos, because it's a lot more personal. I know a lot of people say, well, I want them to go against Tau, I want them to go against Necrons, maybe Eldar get involved, Tyranids and stuff like that. I understand. But for me, it's all about chaos, because it's, I just said it's more of a personal battle. You know, you have people who were part of the Imperium betrayed, and Abaddon, who was such a massive player in the Great Crusade, carving the Empire for the Emperor, and then, you know, him and Horus basically turned their back on him and was like, no, how dare you? So it's a lot more personal. But saying that at the moment, I do think the next big campaign won't be against chaos, and I've mentioned this before. I think the next big campaign is going to be going against the Orks, and the place that is going to be happening, I think, is Armageddon. Now, for those of you who do not know, again, this is a spoiler from the Beast Arises series, so if you haven't read it, maybe you just want to skip, you know, maybe a minute or, you know, 30 seconds into the video. But Armageddon is not Armageddon. It is Ullanor. It just got renamed Armageddon. So the planet is actually Ullanor. It was basically the Orc Empire's terror. It was their capital world. Now, maybe this is why the Orcs and Gazskul and, you know, is War are so attracted to the planet. That planet maybe has something in its essence, maybe deep down in its core, that makes the Orcs want to return to that place, to conquer it, to have it as their planet once again, to rebuild their empire from that planet. So if that campaign does indeed happen, then the forces involved, I'm going to say, are basically the forces that have been involved from the start. I see the Black Templars returning. Hellbreak has been on the hunt for Gazskul. He actually nearly got him, and then Gazskul basically did some kind of Gork and Mork magic and teleported out there with his fleet. By the way, adding to that, Gazskul probably has the biggest fleet now in existence. That is what basically that has ever been. I think it's like close to like 4-5 million ships of Orc Daka in his fleet, so whoever goes against him in orbital warfare is going to have his hands full. I know Hellbreak is kind of a master of orbital conflict and stuff like that, so it'd be really, really cool to see the narrative story approach the space battle as well, because for me, space battles are one of the best kind of battles. You have these ships that can engage each other, you know, launch torpedoes miles out, and they always just end up basically 12 feet away from each other, just broadsiding the balls out of each other. So it's always awesome and fun to see that, the boarding actions and stuff like that. So narrative aspect, if it starts with a nice big massive space battle, then I'm fully going to be on board with that. And once it moves down to the ground battle, of course, you can have the Black Templars. Hopefully the return of Chaplain Grimaldus, maybe he returns there to take his revenge. We all know what happened last time he went there. Arterion, no, still hurts me. You can have the forces like the Steel Legion. Maybe that's the time GW can start bringing in some new models for these guys as well. So new plastic Steel Legion, because at the moment, Cadians are cool, they're nice and stuff, but they're just so bland. They really, really are bland. When GW took away, all these cool Imperial Guard chapters and just left us with the I was going to say Canadians, the actual Cadians, I just felt like we were robbed with some of the most awesome looking models that they've produced when it comes to the Guard Regiment. So hopefully they can redeem themselves and give us new Steel Legion and stuff like that, because they are a really awesome looking Imperial Guard Regiment. I prefer them for the Death Corps of Krieg. I know a lot of people say, they're just Death Corps of Krieg, but Desert, it's like, no, they're not. They're way better than those guys. Now, I did mention that it'd be cool if this was the place where it was the Imperium fighting Orks, but they could be very, very cheeky with this as well. Very, very cheeky, GW, because Armageddon is also the place where I think a certain Primarch can only be brought back into reality. And that Primarch is, of course, Angron. For those of you who are not aware, Angron was banished on Armageddon by the Grey Knights in the First War of Armageddon. When the Great Rift happened, there was a summoning ritual to try and bring Armageddon back, but the Salamanders intervened and they stopped it. So this leads me to believe the only way for Angron to get back into the reality of real space, to start his Blood for the Blood God, crusade once again, is to be summoned on the place where he was banished, and that is, of course, Armageddon / Ullanor. So this, for me, brings into the aspect that chaos can get involved. How awesome would it be that if the Imperium, the Orks smashed each other in the face, they've more or less like ruined each other's forces, then all of a sudden chaos, while all this has been happening, they just summoned Angron, and there's like a massive volcano of blood just rips the planet up, and Angron jumps out like Cowabunga with like loads of blood letters and stuff, and he just like rips into both forces and just starts smashing them up. Remember I think it was like a year ago now, that we had the rumor of potentially a Gazskull / Angron kind of versus battle. Maybe this is still on the cards. Maybe that rumor is attached to an Armageddon campaign in some way, because the way GW works is that they work, years and years in advance, like 3-4 years planning, and then they make the models in those time, and then it hits and stuff like that. So maybe there's something like that could happen. I'd be completely on board with that. I would love to see Angron take on Gazskull Fracker, and on the notion of Gazskull Fracker as well, I think it's time for this guy to receive an upgrade. We've got Primarchs back, we've got Demonic Primarchs back. Gazskull Fracker, I think, even though he's awesome, he is an awesome Orc, he's massive and stuff like that, but I think he deserves to be elevated to the Prime Orc status. I know a lot of people don't like that, but I think it's time for him to rise to that status. That is really the only way that this guy can take on Demonic Primarchs and Primarchs and stuff like that. People will disagree and say, well, they can take them on anyway. I'm sorry, I don't agree with that. I think he has to reach that status before he can go toe to toe with Gilliman, Mortarion, Magnus, and all that. Those level of power of characters. There's also another campaign GW could approach, and I think this one is most interesting when it comes to the narrative sense, because we have the Blood Angels, we have Dante, don't forget, he's more or less, I'm doing air quotes here, cut off. He's basically the Lord Protector of the North. He's the King of the North, as they say. And what you also have in the North as well, and this is according to the lore via the Dark Angel Codex, is that there is a massive legion of fallen gathering. Sorry, there is a massive force of legion gathering in I'm completely messed this up. There's a massive force of fallen gathering in legion size. There we go, I got there in the end. And that's happening in the northern bits. So technically we could have a campaign revolving around the fallen Dark Angels. I think it'd be really, really interesting if the Dark Angels were like, oh crap, they're all gathering. Quick, we need to go there before the secrets gets out. Let's go there. And as they get there, the Blood Angels are there, and maybe all the successors of the Blood Angels, they've been reinforced by the Primaris now. They've arrived there maybe at the same time, and maybe it's time for the Dark Angel secret to finally come out and for them to be judged. To be fair, I really don't see the issue in the Dark Angels being so secretive about this, because for those of you who have read the White Scars stuff during the Horus Heresy, you'll know that a massive portion of their legion betrayed the White Scars to go over to Horus's side. Of course, the Khan came back and stopped it all, and those who couldn't be redeemed basically were executed, and the ones who sought redemption basically became like these death squads and stuff like that. But I really don't see what's wrong with the Dark Angels. They just come out and say, yeah, these guys went traitor. Yeah, we're purging them. How absolutely dare they? But I think something like that could happen, and their secret finally came out, and the Blood Angels, find out what happened on Caliban and all that kind of stuff, and it's time for them to go to war. We could really have a cool name for the campaign, like War of the Angels, because you've got the Blood Angels, the Dark Angels, the War of the Angels. That could be a nice little heading for that campaign. Now, with the fallen Dark Angels, the person that's supposedly leading these guys is Luther. This is not confirmed at all, but if it is Luther, because Luther has escaped now from the Rock when the Great Rift happens, he basically just got out of there. We don't really know. Was it demons who did it? But he's not there anymore. So if Luther is back and he is leading the fallen, could that mean that someone is going to Snow White kiss the lion and bring him back, because he is unconscious at the moment? He is in the Rock. It could be, all right, stuff is happening. We really need to bring this guy. Maybe the Watcher's like, okay, it's time for the lion to awake. This is his purpose. He needs to finish his hunt. He needs to hunt down the fallen. So maybe the lion can come back. He could step in. He could start leading the Dark Angels again. It'd be really interesting to see the lion's take on what has been going on with the political system throughout his Sleeping Beauty phase of his life. It'd be cool to see what he thinks of Gilliman basically becoming the de facto emperor now. Is he gonna like that? Is he hey, I deserve this power, not him? Look at all the deeds I've done. Is it gonna be like that kind of lion that wakes up? It'd be very, very interesting to see him coming back into the narrative sense of the story. Adding to that, we do need a loyalist Primarch back as well. Don't have a go at me in the comment section saying, oh look, Valrak's talking about Primarchs again. I'm sorry, sirs. We do need another loyalist Primarch back. And if it's going to be the Lion, if it's going to be Russ, Vulcan, Khan, Rogel, Dawn, just give me a loyalist Primarch. Please, GW. I need these guys in my life. They make me sleep happily at night. Alright, Chaperonios, that is me done for a video. Should I do more on this? Should I do more Imperium, like Mechanicus, Sisters of Silence, the Adeptus Custodes? Tell me what you think in the comment section, and tell me what you think about the next campaign. What do you want for the next campaign? What do you think the next campaign is going to be? It may not even be Imperium, maybe like Tau vs Eldar, or no, I can't see anything like that, because the Imperium is basically their go-to. It's it's their key parts of the story. I know again some people disagree with that, but it's all about the Imperium and their ongoing war and slaughter. With everything else going on in the galaxy around them. Thank you for watching this video once again. As always, it's been a pleasure. I shall see you all very, very soon. And yeah, Primarchs. See you now. Bye-bye, and have a great night. See ya. Bye.